Hey, Hive Genie fans. We're here in Punta Gorda, Florida again, and we are delivering and deploying about 120 Hive Genies, if not a little bit more. And tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day. We're going to try and deploy this 100 units, 100 plus units in the field. I'll get you the exact number tomorrow. And but it's going to be a 6 pallet per Hive Genie. This is the maximum that Hive Genie revision 3.5 can tolerate. This is the upsized and corrected version from revision 3. So we have polished all the bugs in the system, and we have made it a lot more sturdier. We changed the antenna, increasing the range on that LTE signal. We changed the cable connectors. We added some glands. We changed the enclosure to make it more waterproof. We added a sniffer in the sensors for a temperature sensor and relative humidity. We also have that CO2 and the volatile organic carbon sensors. So it's a pretty good product. I'm excited to deploy it tomorrow in the field. It's gonna be hot. Although it's November 30th, but it's gonna be hot and humid, and it's definitely gonna be a very stingy situation, because no matter how well protected you are with your suit, when you're dealing with hundreds of hives, you are gonna get stung. Bees find every little hole in your suit, or when your beard or your chin touches the screen, they just sting you in there. Especially the guys with a black beard, they hate it because they think we're bears. But last time that I was here last month, I had a beer break into my suit, and it got into my ear, and that was terrifying, even for a seasoned beekeeper like me. It never happened before, and I got it out, and on my way out it stung me in the ear, but it actually went all the way into my ear. I don't know what she was thinking. Was that some sort of comb, or hey, there's waxing there? I don't know what she was thinking, but it never ever happened before, and I hope it never ever happens again. I got freaked out about that particular one. I don't mind the stings. They always hurt enough so you want to run, but in the ear, man. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. We're obviously gonna tag this piece of video to the next string of video in the field, and gonna show you the units in the hotel. I still have to do some programming, and talk to you in a bit. Okay, I counted, and it's 180 Hive Genies that we have here, and it's about 180 pounds as well worth of Hive Genie. So roughly a pound on average per Hive Genie. Not bad, but this is what it looks like, you know, traveling light. And I actually did the math, being an engineer, you know, and it was cheaper for me to go first class and don't pay for all this extra luggage, which was $118 worth of upgrade to first class, than actually paying for the 3 extra bags, which would have been worth $150. So there you have it. When you want to travel with a lot of load, which, by the way, it's still cheaper than shipping them via FedEx, because any of these individual boxes from Florida to California would have cost probably $120 or more to ship. So it's cheaper to travel on first class and bring the boxes yourself than actually send them on FedEx. So besides, I want to be here when we deploy these units and make sure everything runs smoothly, because this is a complete bee field, or complete apiary. they have a special word for that, but but yeah, it's a complete apiary that we're going to monitor with Hive Genies, and hopefully we're going to be able to help them reduce mortality rates. And we know, because we've been accurately predicting the strength of the hives by just monitoring the units with our bee counters. But we're also confident that we can alert based on the trends that we see, and let the beekeepers take action and hopefully save the hives before they lose too many bees. So we can detect when they're losing bees, when they don't have a queen, and give them enough time to react, and therefore it's just way easier to requeen than to start another hive from a split this late in the season, being November. So this is where we're at right now, and got to program them and be there in the field on Monday. So whenever I travel to different apiaries around the country, I always like to roam around some unused land and see what kind of blooms do we have in the area, and look for bees. And that gives me a good idea of what the bees are doing and what the bees are foraging. So let's walk around this little ditch here, and this is not necessarily an untamed area. It's right across my hotel right here. But let's take a look at what's growing, because usually on the riverbanks, or in this case on the berm banks, there's all kinds of vegetation right at the water's edge. That's when the most interesting stuff happens in terms of sustaining life. You get all the explosion and variety of species of insects and crustaceans and animals and plants, and that's where we're going to go and look for some vegetation. Let me turn around my camera here if I'm able to do it. Nope. Okay, I turned my camera around. I had to pause for a minute, but here's these little things, and then I'll go back and search the web and try to figure out what kind of plant is that. I don't see any bees foraging here, which tells me one or two things. Either this plant is not very rich in nectar, or this plant has been this place has been treated with some kind of a pesticide. There's just one little insect out there. There it is. It's more like a mosquito. Oh, it's just a love bug. Never mind. But okay, so let's see what we find. I don't see any bee activity. The third possibility is that it's not the time at which this particular flower releases the nectar. We found out through years of using Hive Genie that some plants release their nectar at different times, and you can see what the bees are doing with the bee counter in the Hive Genie, and that's great for trying to figure out what your bees are foraging. The other technique is, of course, just get in front of your hive and see if you can find some strange color in your pollen. Some pollens have specific colors, and then you can trace that to a specific plant. But let's see what's going on now. This is Florida, so gotta watch for gators and snakes. But it looks like those two are the dominant species here. This is another one right here. Grasses are not good for bees because they don't provide anything for them. But here's another little population right here, and we see some signs of wildlife there. So clearly that's a path that something takes right there, and to get to the water, and we might find some footprints in there. Anyway, not much blooming around here. Back at home in Texas, there's a grass similar to this that's called goldenrod, but I don't think this is it. so it's not good for bees. Goldenrod is pretty good for bees. It actually blooms. It's not a grass. It's a little bush. Well, a little bush. And let's see what else we have down here. This little flowers seem of a different color, but no bee activity. So there's a different species here, and this is great for butterflies and bees, but it's just not enough of it to generate a buzz in the hive, so to speak. Bees will communicate with each other and will let the girls know, hey, I found a big field this direction, and you need to walk or fly, you know, this way for a couple of minutes and you'll find it. And they can talk to each other that way, but it's not the case here. We'll see tomorrow that we're on the field, what can we actually find in terms of vegetation. And usually in the ranch is right in between the fence, where ranchers are let their different things grow. That's when you find something else. There's like a dead bloom out there, which was something that looks something like this. So this is probably done, but we'll see what goes on tomorrow. We have this little hedge here, and you guys can tell me right there, that is a honeybee right there. And nope, she's not gonna sting me because she is foraging. Foraging honeybees rarely sting. You have to step on them to get stung. She's single-minded, and the only thing she wants to do is get some nectar. There's one bee there. There's another bee here. There's another mosquito or fly there. There's a third bee there. So this explains why there's no bees out there, because this is where the honey is right now, or where the nectar is. And let's go explore that tree right there with some orange blooms and see what's going on. But I suspect that the majority of the bees are going to be here, because this, yeah, there's another one right there. This is another one right here. So yeah, this is the exact spot. I only see honeybees here, mostly honeybees. So there must be a hive somewhere. And if you want to see where the hive is, you just gotta stop for a while. And once she's full, she's gonna fly in a straight line back home. And if you're careful and if you watch the sky, you'll see black dots zooming in a straight line. Follow those and you'll find your hive. All right, there's nothing going on here apart because there's just one little flower there. It's orange. Bees don't see red, so anything that looks red looks black to them. They don't are necessarily attracted to red color. Of course, they have a great sense of smell, but plants that bloom white, like this one here, are way more interested in attracting insects like bees. So this is where this stuff is going, and you see another bee in there. And so this is good news, and this is why you guys need to become urban beekeepers, because thanks to the created landscapes, thanks to the man-made landscapes, bees have a refuge free of pesticides, at least free of the industrial and heavy-scale pesticides that are used in most of the agriculture in the United States, save the organic fields. But it's a refuge for bees, not only because there's less pesticides, but because the blooms, which are brought sometimes from different places and get acclimated here, they have a different cycle than the natural blooms. So you give your bees some refuge, and they don't have to dip into their honey stores. Therefore, there's more honey to you. And remember, never take all the honey out of the beehive. Anyway, this is a comment, and let's prepare for battle in the field with many, many angry bees. They don't know we're trying to save them, but we are. All right, so we are on our way to the apiary, or the field that we're going to deploy the 200 Hive Genies. And we see the vegetation right there. See all those little white flowers, and then all those yellow flowers, and then all those red little things. So there's plenty of things to eat for the bees. This is the road, and I'm following my fellow beekeepers there. We're going to help me deploy the units, and we're going to go all the way to the swamps, and this is going to require playing in the mud with a 4x4, so that's always fun. And I'm glad I brought my plastic boots, because last time I didn't, and I basically had to dump my tennis shoes because they were just awful, smelly. Anyway, it's time to dress up, and I'm really excited. It's been a long way to get here. We've been adjusting the design of the Hive Genie to endure the rigors of the commercial beekeeping, and they move them a lot, and they move the hives all across the country, and the connection is really bad sometimes. There's no signal. The solar panels, the orientation, the battery sizing, everything needs to be working properly, otherwise it's just not gonna work on the long term. But all in all, we've been let's just say we haven't dropped the towel, so it's good. And I'm feeling really confident about all the changes that we done to the units, and it's pretty cool. So this should be hopefully the last change, although it never ends. We're always looking to better the product, and continuous improvement is what we live for. But it's a very, very good usable product, and see what happens as we drive deeper into Florida swamps, I guess. I don't know what the proper name for this ecosystem is, but it's almost permanently underwater, so I'm guessing it's a swamp. But look how lush the vegetation is. I mean, it's just beautiful. There's some grasslands, farmlands out there. So Caliche Road, beautiful. It's sand and moist, but tends to get slippery when it's wet. So yeah, only the road is caliche, the rest is just mud and swamp and some cow pies. Yeah, maybe not a swamp, maybe a marsh. I don't know, you guys let me know. But we've been driving for a while, and this is the driest I've seen this place, by the way. And it's still soggy, but it's winter in Florida. Nice 70-degree weather. It's gonna get colder though. It does get colder here. Right, so we are doing this whole bee yard, and we're gonna set all the Hive Genies in there. It's about 200, and it's gonna be a long process. So this is the new setup. I know we still have to work on the battery not been exposed to the elements. On the new version, we're gonna do, this whole thing is gonna be one unit, but for now, that's it. Once you install the units, it takes them a few minutes to find the way in. So this is the new setup. We're gonna come back and set the temperature sensors inside, in between the brood box and the top box later, because we have to do all this field and we really don't want to upset the bees yet. So we'll first set up all the up the boards, all the bee counters, and then set up battery and all that, check that everything's transmitting, and then we'll come back and do the temperature sensors. You can see the unit right here. It's giving us a signal and it's blinking blue, green, which means it's already transmitting. So this one's already transmitting. Initially, the first time you put the bees in, they take a little to find the way in. Once they're done, it's really no problem. You see there, they're already finding the entrance. They're hauling in orange pollen and yellow pollen, so at least two sources of food. And in 10 minutes, it'll be transparent to them, and they'll get used to the entrance, and they won't be trying to cheat on top of that. So that's really good. We're trying to make this setup as transparent for the beekeepers as possible. This is going to be in the future all one integrated unit, but right now this is what we're doing. One of the changes is we're going to lay the solar panel flat. We're going to lose a little bit of power there, but we oversized it a little bit, so that should take care of that. We had to get this ugly exterior antenna because we're in a really remote area in Florida, if that's possible, but it is, trust me. Can hear cows out there. Look at this lush vegetation, plenty for them to eat. And even down here in the grass, there's little blooms here and there. Obviously grass is not ideal for bees, but the other weeds are. So this is a good place to have a bee yard, because it's as isolated as it can be and hopefully as pesticide free as it can be. So good place for them, but we'll start getting data pretty soon and we'll see how that goes. Traffic looks okay, and here you see, just by looking at the traffic, that hive is a strong hive as opposed to this one, which is weaker. See how many fewer bees are trying to get in there as opposed to there. Nonetheless, there's still good traffic. 4 takeoffs and landing per second is a good number. This is a really strong hive right there. That too. So ideally, you walk in, you see 4 takes off and landing, you have a good hive. Especially when they're hauling in pollen, that means you have brood in there. So this is how Hive Genie works. It's exactly the same. It counts for you, so you don't have to come to your field just to check on them. And of course, being Florida, it started to rain. So this just got a lot more interesting. Just as last time. We're gonna be soaking wet very soon. And finally, the rain broke out and we have to weather it a little bit, and we're gonna wait and see what happens in a few minutes. Hopefully it'll pass and we'll finish. We're doing great. We're about a third of the way, and it's only been probably an hour. So we already installed maybe 60 or 70 units. I think we're done all right. All the units are set up on top of the hives. We just need to bolt them in and we're done. It's getting serious. It's a good thunderstorm right here. All right, storm is over. So much for being it a little bit drier than last time. So every time we come here, it's raining. But finally, the rain has subsided and we are gonna resume our duties. So this is a perfect example of the problems of not having a screen bottom board. All this mush accumulates there, and also in this particular case looks like the slope goes that way, so everything accumulates there where the drain hole is, but in this case it looks like it's blocked. Now he's gonna put the box in there and try to set it on top of that clip right there. That's it. Interesting happy face spider. Right there. Very small. Oh man, we shook one of the hives a little bit more than we should have, and the whole apiary went nuts. We're trying to smoke them down, but since we have to work with our bare hands, these are not friendly bees like in the north, you fellows from the north. These are highly Africanized bees, and you know, one hive gets mad, the whole apiary just starts buzzing and zapping and yes, stinging. So we're sort of smoking them and walking down a little bit and get back to work. We're almost done. Okay, the buzzing has diminished a little bit and the bumping, but you see right there, we're trying to work our way through. See? It's not that we're afraid, but it hurts. It always hurts. Things are just right at the limit of bearable pain, and I've been stung hundreds of times, but no matter how many times you've been stung, every time you get a little bit of a reaction, at least a little bit of a jump, and that fight or flight question pops in your mind. I usually walk away a little bit after I'm stung, especially in the hands. That hurts a lot. On the back side, the stomach doesn't hurt as much, but man, the hands or the face, that always hurts. Anyway, there's a team trying to overcome the pain. And we're enduring this, but almost done. We've not been maybe 2.5 hours. We were about an hour in the truck weathering the storm, but it's 200 units in 2.5 hours, so it's what, 2 minutes, a minute and a half, or a minute per hive, so it's pretty quick. The installation is pretty quick. This is a crew of 4, but we're doing a minute a hive. That's pretty cool. I'm pleased. Every time I come to the field, I realize, you know, what improvements we can do to make the installation faster. We've gone a long way. We're never there, but I think a minute per hive is not bad at all. Just to be perfectly clear, what I meant by highly Africanized, I meant that about 10% of the genome of the bees here is Africanized or African bees. So they're hybrids, but about 10% of the genome now is from African bees. But they're still, you know, Italians, and they're still docile. After a few minutes, they're, you know, back in business. And as you can see, I'm standing right here next to the hive, and we work on top of the hives. But the trick is you approach the hives from the side. See, if I stand here on the hive, I can sit, I can lean, I can use it as a table, and that's perfectly okay. but you never want to stand in front of the landing pass, right? Because that's how you will get seriously stung. Okay, the final 3, and I had to, put the gloves on because they're just not letting us work, but it's only 2 more to go. So, yep, it's about 60 seconds per hive. Not bad. The goal is to reduce the installation time to 10 seconds per hive. So we're getting there. Last year it took us about half an hour per hive, so we're definitely getting there. Slip it in, and that's it. You don't really need to open the hive. Just slip it in the middle and push it as inwards as you can and as centered as you can. Although temperature inside the hive is not constant, it is fairly constant. This is a way to intrude the least to them. Quickly in and out, not a full open. And before they realize that you open, put the sensor and you're done. Of course, you'll find that some hives are milder than others, some are hotter than others. They have their own personality. Like that, yeah. Okay, we are done, and this is how a field full of installed hive units looks like, and some very wet beekeepers and some angry bees, but they're settling down. Sorry, I had to change my bare hand for the one with the gloves because I got stung already in the bare hand and it hurts. Okay, and we're finally done, and it was really fun driving in the mud. But now that I'm a little bit further away from the field, I'm gonna just remove my bee suit. Let me show you the field right there, and that's beautiful, beautiful work. Whoa. That was just one angry bee saying goodbye and get the hell out of here. And that's our field, 200 units, and I keep getting bumped, so I'm just gonna get out of here. And now some good old off-road mud driving, which is always the fun part, especially because this is a rental and I don't have to clean it. But yep, these are the Florida swamps. This is a good one right here. The truth is that 4x4 is wonderful, even in mud, until your axle gets grounded, and then you're going nowhere. So as long as the road is firm, which in this case is, we're gonna be okay. The bad part, which was right on the yard, on the bee yard, that was the bad part. But oh man, I love my beekeeping job. When I'm not beekeeping, I'm just an engineer sitting at an office all day. So this is my weekend job. Yep, everybody goes home. There's buzzing inside. Oh, it's just a fly. Worst part is over. Just one sting. Not bad. A lot of bumps, but just one sting on my bare hands. Usually, I don't like working with gloves because you're so clumsy with gloves, but eventually there's no other way around that. So I usually get my gloves on after the first sting because once you're stung once, they're just not gonna let you go unless you put some dirt in it or some smoke. But it's usually downhill from there. So it's impressive how you can smell the mild hives when you open them. First, you don't see the reaction that everyone flies and bumps you, right? So what happens with the mild hives is that you don't see a reaction, and then they smell like lemony or orange, citrus. There's a citrus smell. That's how you know it's a mild hive, or that you've smoked them well and you haven't agitated them. When you smell something like soap, I would say, or like ammonia, that's when you know it's a hot hive, and that's sort of the pheromone. At least I can smell it. It's a big nose right here, but that pheromone that to me smells like sort of soap, dishwasher soap. That particular smell, you know you're gonna get stung or bumped or both. You know that you have a hot hive or a mad hive, and usually that happens when you move the hive too much or you open them too much. At least the initial reaction, like when one of the hives is off the bracket and you push it and it sort of jumps down, right? Or I don't know what the word is, but it just jiggles down and sets quickly, and that shake motion will, or that bump motion will definitely set up the bees, and that bump, it is if you're close enough, you will smell that soap odor that I'm talking about, and that's how you start realizing that you did something wrong and they're mad. But the humming is also beautiful when you're in zen, or you're one with the bees. They're okay with you inspecting them and all that, and there's a hum, kind of like mantra hum, that it's really soothing, and I love it. That's when you know that you're being gentle and then your bees don't mind you, as opposed to when they're mad, they're just like it's a very, very high pitch, and you know you're gonna be in trouble. So that's kind of how it looks or feels when you're dealing with bees all day. I'm not a professional beekeeper. I'm a scientific beekeeper. I've been keeping bees for 8 years, and I have anywhere between 3 and 7 hives at any given time, and that I use to experiment on the different natural ways of keeping bees, and I read a lot about bees, and then I experiment on the different hive genies as well, and the different sensors for the hive genies. So I'm not 8 hours a day with bees. So when I go out in the field and help my customers deploy hundreds of units, I really enjoy it because it's like my vacation. So now you buy 200 hive genies, and you get me for a day, and I'll help you install them. Back at the hotel, it was a 13-hour day. It was brutal. I had to go back and do some resetting of the boards. Pradeep called me. Pradeep is our Chief Technology Officer. Our technology center is in India, where we manufacture boards and we assemble and test them. And most of our engineering team, the electronic engineering team, is in India. And so he was awake. He's about 12 hours offset from what we are, and he was monitoring the units as we were turning them on. And there were a few units that needed restarting or little things. And I went back and told the rancher not to close the gate, not to lock me in the ranch, which he did. So then my phone died. So I was stuck inside a ranch full of cows and bees, mud. It was getting dark, and I had no phone. And since it was very, very mushy off road, I had to walk an alternative route to bypass the gate. And I walked about a mile checking possible routes, and then I realized that a certain kind of bush grows on hard ground. And once I figured that out, I knew what route to take. And then I ended up climbing uphill on a terrace that was done for some construction work that's almost at the highway which I was trying to reach. So I'm very grateful for the 4x4 of that Cherokee that I rented. Even with the city tires, I was able to climb uphill in a very, very comfortable 4x4. I mean, it really felt that it was going uphill very, very strong. So good work, fellow engineers at Grand Cherokee. Good work. You have my confidence there. And I'm glad I was able to do that and not sleep with the cows, because it was not going to be pleasant. And finally, my phone is getting the much needed charge, and I haven't even eaten in 13, 14 hours. So I'm going to grab maybe a Subway and watch some TV and fall asleep. Tomorrow, 3 hour drive to Orlando and take a flight home. Mission accomplished. I just checked the Hive Genie app, and all the units are transmitting. So I can rest. Well, not rest in peace, but I can rest for tonight. Okay, I get this question asked a lot. Does it still hurt when a bee stings you? Yes, it does. Do you develop a resistance? I guess, because see, these are my two hands. First stings a few years ago, this would get swollen to a point that you wouldn't recognize the hand, and then the swollenness would start traveling, and it does get a little hot. Ice for me is the best thing. I haven't applied anything. You can see the sting right there, and yes, there's a little minor swellness there, swollen part there, but that's it. I mean, it's really it looks worse than it is. It's not like that. It's really the same. I mean,